Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Yes, it has hit the fan. Yes, things are terrible. Not just okay, not just, there, not getting better. Things are terrible. And it's getting harder for me to walk between the raindrops. What is going on out there is disgusting, horrifying. It's perverted. There's 4 different topics. I said, which one of these should I talk about this morning? It's not the potpourri afternoon question and answer where I can talk about everything a little bit. I like to get a little more in depth with this this session. And to get into something means more detail. To get into something means more examples. To get into something in depth means naming names. And I have to be careful, though. I don't want to lose the platform, folks. We don't violate terms of service or community guidelines, but they're doing their best to stop us from having intelligent adult conversations about what is happening. But be that as it may, I'll do my very best, folks. And I want to thank you for supporting it, for promoting this work, this effort. There's so much going on. And I know I'm not the only channel, right? I know that shit. We know that. But we're part of a larger network of people trying to speak freely about what's going on. So I figured I'd grab this topic because it is becoming something hugely important. The news story I got yesterday that everybody, it seemed like, was sending me a copy of, saying, you got to see this, is the fact that 90 Proof Nancy up at Fort Pelosi in Washington, D.C. has decided to open field offices for a police force that wouldn't send law enforcement out to stop violence on the streets of Washington, D.C., that allowed people to be assaulted, police officers to be assaulted, a police force that is apparently at the beck and call of Nancy. She wants to send field offices out into the rest of the country. It's very concerning because of the multiple layers and levels of law enforcement in this country, and their allegiance is not to their oath, not to the Constitution. Their allegiance is not to law and order. Their allegiance is to whoever's writing their paycheck, it would seem. We've got the FBI, we've got the DEA, we've got the NSA, we've got the CIA, we've got the ICE. Name your federal forces. They're incredibly dense. Right? Even the United States Postal Service, they sent people down to Florida to arrest a man. Now, these are law enforcement officers who work for the Postal Service. You have the Secret Service. I'm waiting to see the United States Bakery Service out there with a SWAT team. Yeah, but anyways, the Postal Service arrested a war hero veteran who had been injured seriously and lost several limbs because he did something like, help protect the country building a wall. They arrested him. Claimed he committed some sort of postal violation. So the Postal Service had jurisdiction. We, you, me, us, Americans, are subject to all kinds of jurisdictions. So many rules you can't keep up. People are afraid to take action for violating the rule. Oh my God, did I buy the flour with the and not pay a proper flour tax? That's right, folks. The IRS will come get you. So we had the president of Haiti, the island nation of Haiti down in the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean. The Haitian president was assassinated. He wasn't killed, he was assassinated. Haiti has been in great turmoil. They're in essentially what we would call SHTF, shootouts with guns between police and factions that are trying to cause trouble. Sound familiar? We're that far from having those kind of hotspots. But video was released. Video audio was released, and it was pretty poor quality, but it was released, of men who were claiming to be DEA agents. That's drug enforcement agents, claiming to be U.S. drug agents. Drug enforcement agents that were the ones who went in there and did that. You know, why not just scream your favorite secular war cry and go in? Why pretend to be the drug enforcement agency, the DEA? Why do that? Why not pick U.S. Army? Why not pick FBI? I wonder why they chose that. But what happened here was an assassination. And there is a connection, albeit tenuous, between the United States and this president. And that is that there was an ongoing investigation in Haiti, apparently, allegedly, concerning the not Bill and Hillary, but the Clinton Foundation and its efforts there. You know, because now companies or foundations can be sued and attacked or persecuted, like President Trump. So yeah, not necessarily the person, but their organization. Now, what you do have, though, folks, is we have non-government organizations like the Trump Organization or the Clinton Foundation, and you have governments benefiting from assassination. This isn't the first time in history, folks. This is nothing new. Right? There's been assassinations going as far back as forever. You know, and one of the big ones that we've had, several big ones, Ronald Reagan, there was an attempt to assassinate him. And then, of course, John F. Kennedy, President of the United States, taken out, literally. It is a sign of the times, though, and it's very serious. It's very serious because it seems like we are on the threshold of a higher level of violence. You know, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, these types of satellites of the United States, or definitely within the United States interest. We're just seeing more of this sort of thing, in my opinion. Political figures being deposed, political figures being cheated out of office, political figures being threatened, political figures being assassinated, you know, violent militant groups. Right now, the Oath Keepers are being called a domestic violent extremist group. Individuals, I'm sure, are getting that designation as well. We had incredible violent groups last year, and I'm shocked that they haven't done more this year. I'm shocked, folks, literally shocked that it hasn't happened yet to the extent that it did last year. But last year erupted very quickly. And so I've got a research team that's looking into why they haven't this year. Everything has a reason, folks. Everything has a purpose, right? We're at the end of, you could say, the end of times for the old model of the United States. And I'm not being fatalistic. I just believe that there's a program. It is not random. It is not haphazard. Politicians, presidents are not killed by accident. Government agencies are not deployed for no reason. There's careful strategy that's being employed out there. Very careful. On the one hand, you need to silence people. In the United States, they're not assassinating members or creators on YouTube. They're not going around killing anyone, but they are killing their voice. It's very calculated. They don't want to take a bigger step than they have to. Right? There was no attempt to kill President Trump that I'm aware of. No real attempt to kill him. Right? No bullets flew. But there was a very successful move to silence him. It was very successful, taking him off of social media. That's a form of political assassination. Right? They're only taking out the part of him they don't want, his voice and his presence. Same with all of us free Americans. They don't want to take us out with bullets. They want to take out our silence. Now, the fella that was arrested by the U.S. Postal Service, he was taken out. So there's a couple of reasons to take people out: to silence them so others can't hear them, to set an example, to frighten people. Now, the Haitian president, why take him out? To frighten people? Yes. To silence people? Yes. To stop an effort? Yes. Remember what government actions are about, folks. If they want something, they'll promote it. They'll allow it so they get more of it. And if they're afraid of something, they'll silence it. They'll stop it and get less of it. That's what governments do. So when you see an assassination, you can bet your ass that somebody important had something to say, or rather wanted something important not said. That was the whole purpose behind the First Amendment, was to guarantee people could speak and say what they wanted to say, regardless of whether or not the government or anyone else wanted to silence it. Folks, we're at the end of this mess. They're about to pull some really big events. And I think that's what they're waiting for with our good buddies in Antifa and BLM. I think that some big things are about to go. Very big. I wish I had details that I could provide. I wish I had more information. It's not fear porn, folks. This is get ready. I think we're past the whole fear porn. That was what the accusation was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was you guys are just trying to scare people. You're just trying to sell stuff at the preparedmind.club, right? That's what you're doing. You're trying to scare people to go to patreon.com. Right? No, I'm not. You've seen the channel taken down several times. The channels, we have 3 channels now, right? 3 channels. We've seen their effort to take us down, and we've been lucky, fortunate, correct, and gotten them back up, fortunately. Now, and one more thing. There's levels of effort that they'll put into things. If the government, if an organization wants you quiet, they'll make things difficult for you. The next level is they'll put up rules and roadblocks and obstructions. Then comes personal attacks. And then comes literal assassination in one form or another, either to silence you or to take you out. You'll notice that we went from you shouldn't bully people to you have to tolerate us to you can't talk about that to we're going to remove you. And then last year, we had literal physical attacks. This year, we've seen rifles and guns come out and being pointed at people. We're getting there, folks. We're getting to that top level, that end of times. America used to be about pride in America, strength, bravery, freedom, liberty. Now, it's something quite different. People are hiding. They're having to run from bad areas. They're being silent because they're scared. People are being attacked physically, attacked socially, attacked professionally. It's not the same America anymore, is it? People say they don't recognize this country. It's because we are in the death throes, not of the Constitution, not of law and order, not of justice, but the death throes of government that we can count on as our servants. We're at the end of times, folks, for America. It doesn't mean we can't kill the disease. Doesn't mean we can't remove the cancer. Doesn't mean it can't be restored. It just means we're at a high level of risk. High level of risk. And I think in the next few weeks, things are going to get there. And again, this is not fear porn, folks. This is based on history. It's based on comments made by those with authority and with power, based on current actions. There's a lot going on, and I really wish I knew more. I had a lengthy discussion again last night. My plan was to go relax, have a beverage, which turned out to be an iced tea. That was my plan, and it just doesn't work out that way. I ended up speaking with somebody about this group that's at the top, at the very top, right? There's the people we see, there's street people, there's people that are in charge, there's the puppet masters, and then there's this other group that's up there that is opposed to, diametrically opposed to the forces of evil. You know, there's incredibly wealthy people at the very top, and everyone has their own, you know, it's just, who are these people? Right? It's like, well, where's the bad guys? George Soros, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Illuminati, if you will. These bad guy groups, and then there's opposing forces. If there were no opposing forces, they would just wipe us out. You know, it's all out there. And it becomes more evident that they exist at times like these, at the end of times. Now, this time can pass, and America may survive it. I pray it does. Either way, shit has hit the fan. Either way, you need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Either way, you need to go to the preparedmind.club. Make sure you have. I had this conversation with neighbors. You can call them neighbors. Local associates. There you go. Had a conversation. Do you have solar panel? Do you have some way to get power? Right, in an emergency? Do you have water? Do you have? They asked about food. Do you have food? I was like, I have a little bit. You know, I'm not going to throw it out there, but people must be prepared. They know what's going on. People have a sense that something's not quite right. You folks, as preppers, need to be at the top of the list of people who have prepared, that see that we're in the end. We're approaching the end. The big enchilada is coming here. They're calling it the Great Reset. Right? Just kind of a little sober talk. YouTube doesn't want us having this talk. Facebook doesn't want us having this talk. Kamala Harris doesn't want us having this talk. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want us having this talk. That's why she's sending cops outside their jurisdiction into our world to prevent or investigate or intimidate us. Can you imagine sitting in California and the Washington, D.C. police show up, huh? And knock on people's doors and start harassing them. Don't you start thinking about freedom. Don't you dare try and protest. What? Right? That's where we're at. Remember, again, there's lower levels. There's freedom. And then there's persuading people not to speak. And then there's putting obstacles in front of them. And then there's intimidation and threats. And then ultimately, there is assassination or arrest to stop you, put you in jail. All the protesters that were in DC on January 6th that committed no acts of violence, that committed no crimes, they're in jail. You know, an old lady, a grandma, charged with parading, convicted of parading. It is ridiculous. What do they call every single protester who's out in the street without a permit to parade? They're blocking traffic. They've taken over a street. Sounds like parading to me. They're not being charged. The whole thing is right here, folks. We're at the end of common sense. We're at the end of our liberties. We're at the end of the government obeying the Constitution. We're at the end of conventional civility, I think is a nice way to put it. Conventional civility. We're at the end of that, where we're going into methods of civility that are unconventional. You know, much louder arguments and fighting. Chance favors the prepared mind, folks. Is yours. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Get it together. Godspeed. Semper Fi.